Hi Dee. Hi everyone. I am taking a walk through the nursery, and I tend to fling sticks with my walking stick when I just take a walk. It's twilight out here. I'm not sure I'll get all the way around and still be able to see, maybe with the phone, but for no good reason that I can really think of, I have avoided the nursery. I came out here twice during the springtime to see maybe what was new and different, and I've been avoiding it since then. This is the first walk I've done out here in literally quite months, I think. See, there's a lean, a bent tree with a stick right in my face. And here's another fallen stick right here that's in my way of my path. I don't know if that stick fell there or was placed there, but it's right in my way. And for the last maybe 2 months, I've been under a lot of stress, and today a lot of that stress got lifted off me. So I called in to work. I work second shift. I called in to work, and I'm going to come out here, take a little walk, try to relax. So much stress came off me today that I actually threw up, got a fever, took a 2-hour nap. Like I couldn't even function. I didn't realize that my body was under so much strain. But feeling pretty good now. Going to just keep moving here. Unless I hear something, see something. The other day I came home and there were coyotes out in here, along with whatever the big howling things are. Can't tell if they're dogmen or we call them coy dogs, which are dogs mixed with coyotes that make a deeper howl. There aren't supposed to be any wolves in New York. But it's definitely way more wolfish than it is coyote. Coyote's usually pretty high pitched. And some of the howls I heard were high pitched like a coyote do, but they usually end up with all of them screaming, going yay, 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 and sounded like there's a big fight going on. They didn't do that. They howled back and forth a few times. I howled at them. They howled back, and then I made a weird sounding howl, and they made that same howl back, the deep ones that were right here in the nursery. They howled the same as I howled, so I've never heard them do that before. Not coyotes anyway. So I'm not quite sure what that was. Here's the swamp portion. Going to get chewed up by mosquitoes. And I'm not sure why, but I keep holding my phone straight up and down, and I know once I start a video or a live, I can't switch that. halfway into it, about 5 minutes, I realized that I'm only holding the phone like this because it's comfortable, because I'm actually holding the phone. When I have the phone in the holder with the big light, it's in there sideways because that's the way it clamps in there. This is the apex of my path. There's a great big hemlock tree that the termites are making slow but sure work of. And right around this corner is my first tree, the first thing I found, the bent down pine tree, and that's very dead now. I have not, in the springtime, I didn't see any too much out here that was different than what I saw in the fall last year. And I haven't found any more of the clusters of small sticks that they made last year. And if I can, last year they made clusters of sticks like that. Got me, bug. Clusters and little tiny sticks, like all in there. Little tiny sticks leaned in, all of this stuff. They did that last year. I know I'm slinging you around a little bit. I'm not walking very slow. We have turkeys out here this year. 2 mamas and 2 babies. They keep coming into my lawn. And I'm seeing turkey scratching out in here. There's a... Ouch. Biting little suckers. My path has grown over quite a bit. So I used to walk this path almost every day for the last 4 or 5 years, but this year life happened to me. And I ended up with a lot less time on my hands. But my dad passed, so that was a lot of it. And I didn't realize how much stress it was putting on me, because I'm here in New York and my sister had control of him in Oklahoma. He wasn't living with her anymore. He was for quite a while, and then we put him in a nursing home because he needed more care. But he started to go downhill, so I didn't realize how much stress. Now he's gone and I'm sad, but holy cow. I can breathe and I can't, even though I'm not really talking to anybody, I'm talking to my phone and I'm out in the woods just trying to get my emotions under control. It's hard for me to even explain to myself how I feel right now. I don't feel guilty for feeling better, I'll tell you that. He wouldn't want me to. So I'm out here in my favorite place, walking around. Now this corner has been manipulated this year. These two sticks that kind of formed an X, was there. And that, I think, was a hide that a baby tried to make. But look at this. This stick right here has been placed in that X. And over here, there's a stick on the ground that starts right there and then loops up, and there's a Y, and that stick that's placed in that side of the X is placed in that Y right there. That was not there last year. So that's a new addition to this thing right here. Just maybe they made it this spring. So they have been back in here, but they're not as much stuff around and changing all the time that there was last year. Like that little stick right there leaned. I couldn't tell you if they did that this year, last year, or when they did that, because there's literally thousands of those in here. I haven't been back here in a while, but the end of this isn't stuck to the ground, you can see, but it's actually in the middle of my trail. You can see my trail. It's in the middle of my trail and leaned up against the big oak. That is not an oak tree. Is it? No, that's not oak. I'm not sure where that came from, but it's leaned up in there like that. That I can 90% attribute that to them, because up there, right there, you see that broken off limb? That would have went out that way, and if it broke, it would have had to break perfectly off all at once, evenly, to hit the ground, and then lean the top of it back this way. Can't stop walking there, eat me up. So that looks like it was placed there. It may have came from up above, but it looks like it was leaned up against a tree after it fell. Can only tell certain things that are right in my path that I'm very familiar with, because when I look out through there, and now you can see much better than I can. When I look out through there, there's so much that there's no way I could tell you whether it was this year or not. Like I said, I have not been out here this summer. Been under a lot of stress, and Dee was on her live, the one that she got her wits scared out of her up on Howler's Hill this last weekend. And but in the beginning of the live, she was asking if anybody had seen me, because she hadn't heard from me. But there's a reason for that. And I try not to put my emotions and problems out into the world too much. Now last year, when they were babies, you see all that? Just little tiny sticks, hundreds of them, all around the base of these trees out here. And they got bigger and bigger and bigger, like I say in every one of my videos. Over the summertime, they got bigger and bigger, like the babies were growing up. This year, I do see little bits of changes. And like I just showed you, there's a stick leaned into the V of another stick that had to be done on purpose. There's no way it blew like that. There's a stick, this one right here. That is leaned up on that side of that one, and then the other side of that one leaned up in there like that. I think that one's relatively new. This deadfall is bigger now, but we did have a very bad winter with a lot of snow this year. Like every 10 years we get a really bad snowstorm, or a bad winter anyway, with a lot of snow, and that could have happened then. My skull and crossbones is knocked over again. You can see that I put the bones inside the hip bone, the 3 smaller bones, to make a base for that skull, and stood it up, and that's kicked over. But every once in a while I'll find a random bone, another random bone here. Usually in the springtime when there's not all these strawberries. You can see the ground very well. And I'm not sure why animals decide to kick over that skull and those bones. There's nothing in them at all for them to get at. And it's so low to the ground that I'm doubting that wind does that. Alright, I'm about to go into where it's pretty dark. I'm not sure if the phone's going to pick up anything. That's where I just came from. I went around the corner to the right, or the left there. And I take a right and come out into this open spot. So if it gets too dark to see in here, I'm almost back out of here anyway. But this is grown up quite a bit. Usually I take these longer limbs here, and I've been winding them in so that I can get through here easy enough. I have to come back out here during the bright daylight. Now, I don't know if you heard that. Right out there is open field. Right out where you can see that brightness. Between me and that open field, I just heard 3 loud steps, like a human just went crunch, crunch, crunch. D, maybe you can circle one for me. I can't see anything with my eyes, and I can't see anything on my phone. But the phone, of course, makes it seem a lot brighter than what I can see with my eyeballs. But I heard 3 good steps out there. Not that it couldn't have been a fat squirrel jumping, because they jump. They don't walk across the ground. They hop like. And it could have been a squirrel, but it seems much heavier than that. But anyway, I'm almost out into my back lawn. I just wanted to make a real quick video, talk to myself. Like I said, I called in sick, so I've already set my fireplace, or my fire pit outside anyway, for a fire tonight. So I will put my botanical off. That stuff works pretty good. Douse myself in that and see if I can brave the mosquitoes. It's going to be kind of cool, so there shouldn't be too many of them. Maybe I'll throw some coffee in the fire. That's supposed to take the mosquitoes and scare them away, but we shall see. Here's my back lawn. And there's the back of my house. Right there. The shed in the foreground. And my neighbor's house. And you can see when you're out here in the brightness looking back in there, it's quite dark. And for a few of you, the newer subscribers, when I first noticed that something was going on back here, I put this bell here. And at first, I was up on the other side of that shed is my fire pit. I would have a fire. Did you just hear that howl? That's like as werewolfy as you could possibly be. I do have neighbors on the other side of the street. They have 2 chihuahuas. Chihuahuas did not do that. Ow! Anyway, I hope that showed up on my audio, because this is a Samsung Galaxy S24. And when I'm doing my videos, my keys rattle loudly. My stick, you can hear my stick hitting the ground. You can hear me walking, crunch, crunch, really loud. So I'm hoping that howl just showed up on the video. But anyway, that is a walk through the nursery, and that was the same type of howling that I heard the other night when I came home at 3 o'clock in the morning. So that was across the street over next to that beaver dam that I did a video with the little beaver dam, testing out Dee's rig that I sent her long ago. She doesn't use that one anymore, I don't think. But yeah, there's my entrance into the nursery. I own that entire swamp right there, up to where you see the hole in the woods there. That cuts across the swamp. I got six acres. I have an acre and a half of usable land and 4.5 acres of swamp. And I also have a hummingbird vine mixed with, I don't know what the hell that is, wisteria maybe? And it used to be climbing up a 4x4 that was 16 feet long, so it was probably 12 feet in the air right here. But it got so big, and then the wind blew and broke the 4x4. So I had to pull it with my car if I can get far enough away from it. I actually pulled it with my car so it was pointing away from my shed. And I keep going in there and trying to whack it so it won't climb over my shed. But when I sell this next year, I won't care anymore. But it does, the trumpet vine and hummingbird vine, whatever the heck a trumpet vine is and a hummingbird vine mixed together, you can see that the two of them are fighting for sunshine. The dark and the light color there. But it's 20 feet long and 8 feet tall. And it's actually fell over from what it was. All right. Have a good night.